Blake Lewis does a great job covering the NFL and the Skins. Sports Journey, and, of course, About.com joins us for a couple moments on a Thursday. What's going on, pal?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
We are doing well, and appreciate a couple moments. I know you're running around. All right, let's get into some of the big news and notes, and I'll get your thoughts right off the bat with Greg Hardy. We had a just great dialogue yesterday talking about Greg Hardy. I'm of the belief he should have been cut. He should have been released. He should have never been signed. In light of all those photos coming out, I was shocked that he even played on Sunday, and the fact that the Dallas Cowboys have not done anything yet of, I guess you can say, any high character or moral fiber doesn't shock me. But right now, I think there's absolutely no way he should be with the Dallas Cowboys, and he should be playing in the NFL at this time.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, Q, because, listen, this is a society we're in where you give people second chances, and sometimes, people make the most out of those chances. But as I keep telling people, Greg Hardy's second chance is the fact that he's not in jail. That's his second chance. And I think the NFL could do a lot better, for themselves and for people who have gone through domestic abuse. I just, I hate to throw a guy under the bus who may be trying to do the right things now, but when you see what was done, in that whole situation, it's a bad look for the NFL to be, employing a person that did something like that. And I think for Jerry Jones to come out and defend the guy over and over and over doesn't look good for him either, and it doesn't look good for the Dallas Cowboys. And the ironic thing is that his daughter is on the committee, for domestic abuse for the NFL. It's a lot of parallels to this story that just don't look good. And I think the more pressure and heat that he takes, the more you may see the Dallas Cowboys wilt a little bit and not be so cavalier in their approach right now.
What I tried to convey yesterday, and I've heard this throughout the week, even from national guys when they talk about, well, there's a player like this on every team. No, there's not.
No, there's
not. And it's just an ignorant, asinine statement to make. And the reason I'm bringing this up with you is because you cover the Washington Redskins. Daniel Snyder is a guy that no matter what will just open up his checkbook. But, it's kind of ironic that here's a situation where maybe he thought about making a splash, maybe he wanted to shore up the defense, and he doesn't touch a guy like this, and he's kind of I don't want to say outlandish, but to some extent an outlandish, braggadocious kind of fly-by-the-seat-of-his-pants owner, and he doesn't do this. So I guess what I'm trying to make is there's not a guy like this on every team, and it doesn't matter if a guy's going to help the team. There are some teams and franchises and owners that are just going to say, no, we're not going to do this. Even if he can help the team, we're not going to take advantage of this, and we're not signing this guy because we don't need this around our locker room.
Yeah, and the last time I looked, the Cowboys were a team that was a playoff team regardless. A lot of people had them as the chic pick to get to the Super Bowl before Greg Hardy. And, so it's not like they were necessarily a team hurting to make a splash as far as ticket sales and things like that. They're going to have a loyal fan base, an obnoxious fan base at times, but a fan base that nevertheless is going to support them through thick and thin. I don't think they didn't need Greg Hardy in this headache, not right now. And he's given them something on the field. But he hasn't necessarily changed the identity of their defense. Their defense still gives up plays too. So, I'm glad you did bring up the fact that there isn't a Greg Hardy on every team. And for a comment like that to be made, the person who made that comment needs to check themselves, because that's the problem in general. The problem in general is a lot of fans think that these type of players exist in the league. And I can say from being in that locker room every day at Redskins Park, it's a bunch of good guys in there. It's a lot of guys in there that are married with kids. So they don't want the guy, next to them in his locker knowing that he's beating on women or abusing people. That's just not the case. So, I think there's a reality check involved in this whole situation.
No, I agree with you, and well said. And you're right, because ultimately, regardless of what he's given them on the field, they're not a very good football team right now, and you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, because ultimately he is a ticking time bomb, and certainly you like to see the union step in and really with Goodell and the owners say there's zero. When I say zero, there's just zero tolerance. I mean, if your name's in a police blotter regarding this, then that's it. It's just after a while, I get very animated with this because I'm disgusted by the whole thing. Where at the end of the day, it's just innate in us to just cheer for the teams that we grew up cheering for, but yet there's this lack of, I guess, awareness of, man, how can you cheer for any person that acts like that? But
it's not discussed, Q, in all of this, and I may be the first person to bring it up. I have a father of an 8-year-old daughter, who I'm very protective of, and just trying to raise her to see what a good male figure is. The one thing that doesn't get talked about in this story, and having read a lot about it, is that the female involved in this, had something heinous happen to her. I mean, just absolutely, just a brutal act. However, on the other side of that is the story of who she was and what she, not to throw anyone under the bus, but wasn't necessarily a role model in that regard. So now you have two people, one being very toxic and Greg Hardy, where he probably, and I think it's proven, didn't think highly of the person anyway. So now you have a person doesn't seem to be all together upstairs, degrading a person that he didn't have a lot of respect for in the first place. And I say that because it was just a toxic situation on both sides.
It was.
And it was a powder keg waiting to happen, and unfortunately, something that should not happen happened.
No, and we agree. It doesn't justify anything. All right, let's move on to some of the action on the field. Last week, and I want to get your thought on the Patriots because they came in, and I should say Washington went up there, and Patriots showed absolutely no respect, especially going for an onside kick. But did you see anything in that game that gives you a glimmer of hope that the Giants can hang in there against the Patriots? We know defensively the Giants are going to have their issues, but as far as what they can do offensively, quick strike with that offense, do they have a shot, puncher's chance Sunday?
Listen, you're the only person I can talk to on the airways that will agree with me on this. If you are a Patriots fan, this is the game that you fear. This is the game that could knock you off your perch. And I say that because the Giants don't fear this team. That has been proven in 2 Super Bowls. And they still have a lot of the same characters, same quarterback. They've got an upgrade at the receiver position from what they had when the last time they beat them. I mean, the crew's not even playing, so that's why I'm saying that. You look at the Giants and what they're doing, they're quietly running away with the division. Quietly. They're the best team in the division right now.
But they can't play. They can't play any defense. Their defense stinks. They can't get to the quarterback. I can get to Brady before they can.
I agree, but at this point, because of no one else in the division can play defense either, I'll take theirs before someone else's. And you are getting, I understand that he's had the injury to his hand, but it's still JPP. The same JPP that you're going to have to game plan for regardless, just because of his reputation alone. And I also think that New England's wounded right now. I mean, they totally dismantled the team that I cover. They dismantled them, not even doing anything. They kind of let the Redskins dismantle themselves. But if you go back to the loss of Deion Lewis, that's a big loss. There's no getting around that. This guy, gave them something in their offense that you guys have now. And I say you, I know you're a Giants fan, but at the end of the day, you look at Vereen, he's given the Giants something out the backfield. And now you have Rashard Jennings starting to run better. I think this game is a winnable game for the New York Giants. I truly feel that whenever you count the Giants out, they come through.
Listen, I agree with you 100%, and you know me. I say this objectively. I'll cheer on Sundays, and I'll enjoy games, but I look at this team, and I just don't see a pass rush, and I see a really poor secondary. You can't always have Eli Bailey out. I don't see how they can win the division if they can't get and a semblance of a pass rush. I just don't. I know it's going to rankle Giants fans, but that's the fact. They can't get to the quarterback. And now you're going against tougher quarterbacks. You're getting ready to go against the Cam Newtons, the Bridgewaters, the Tom Bradys. You get Bradford again. You got some really tough games ahead, and I don't see it. I really don't. Unless the Eagles really just fall right on flat on their face and just go in a free fall, I just don't see how the Giants, with no pass rush and no secondary, win this division.
This division was supposed to be the Cowboys division to be had. That's what most people thought. And they thought that the Giants, you look at the history of this team, when they fall flat on their face one year, they follow it up the next year with a nice run, sometimes a run that gets them to the Super Bowl. When I saw them against New Orleans, first of all, I almost threw up watching that football game because it was almost like it was 11-0 on offense against defense on both sides of the ball. However, the Giants are doing this a lot with smoke and mirrors. I mean, they've had some injuries that have besieged their defense. They've had, a big-time injury to one of their playmakers in Victor Cruz. But they're still finding a way to win games. And this is, again, I go back to this game. This is a game that, yes, New England should win this football game. But I'm not sold on New England running the table. So somebody's got to get them. Is it the Jets? Is it the Giants? So somebody's got to get them because there's no way they're going 16-0. I just can't see that. I don't believe that is possible. This game's in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
So again, New England coming off a major blow to a major producer in their offense. Now the game changes. They're still going to have a decent running game with LeGarrette Blount, but it's going to be more of a power game now, not stretching to the outside. And I actually think that helps the Giants make this a slow-down football game, maybe a game that if they're in it in the fourth quarter, they steal the game.
Well, it'll play itself out on Sunday. Hey, pal, I'm up against it. I appreciate it. As always, great insight. We'll talk next week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games.
Have a good one.
All right, you got it. All right. Take care, pal. Lake Lewis.